Is gestational surrogacy the new way of creating a family in the 21st century? This is the question we're going to answer in today's video. If you're worried about custody rights, if you're worried about child support payments, if you're concerned about arguments or other unpleasant dealings, you may want to consider gestational surrogacy to free yourself from any traditional typical issues that married couples run into. Gestational surrogacy is becoming more popular, and it is potentially a real alternative for nomads and expats seeking more freedom in their everyday lives. Before we're going to talk about the pros and cons of gestational surrogacy, I wanted to briefly describe what it is. Gestational surrogacy is an agreement in which a woman agrees to carry and give birth to a child. The other person or couple will be the parent or parents of the newborn. Doctors create an embryo by fertilizing eggs from the intended mother, or an egg donor with sperm from the intended father, or a sperm donor. I know this sounds kind of complicated, but in a nutshell, this is what it comes down to. How did I come up with this topic, and why did I decide to make this video educating you about gestational surrogacy? Basically, I had a conversation with a client of mine who decided to get a residency in South America, and he explained this process to me because we're doing the residence permit for him, and he has children, and the process for him is obviously different than what we're used to. Because he is the sole parent, which is one of the biggest benefits of gestational surrogacy, there is no mother on the birth certificate. And when we first heard about this, we raised an eyebrow and we were like, really? You are the only parent of this child? This doesn't make any sense. Where is the other parent? Where's the mother? This was my initial reaction until I got educated by my client that this process gives him full custody rights over his children. And he did it for a number of reasons. He wanted to be the sole parent. He didn't want to go through the traditional process of finding a lover, getting married, and potentially having to deal with custody rights, child support payments, arguments, and other unpleasant dealings. And so he decided to move ahead with gestational surrogacy, which is not an easy process to accomplish. But yeah, whether you are a couple or a single person wanting to take advantage of gestational surrogacy, there are a couple more things that you probably want to know about before proceeding with this highly responsible process. Some people may want to commit to this if they are infertile. This is obviously common, but it's not super common. It's not 9 out of 10 people. It could be 1 out of 10. It depends on the geography, depends on a number of things like genetics. However, it is sometimes a problem that one person could be infertile, and because of that, they're unable to have the baby. And so gestational surrogacy fills that gap. And typically people would move ahead with adopting a child because gestational surrogacy is actually illegal in most countries. You can't do it. There are a few countries where it's legal, and we're going to get to this in a moment, and I'm going to explain to you how you can go about it, how much it costs. But as a rule of thumb, gestational surrogacy is illegal. In some countries it is a business and corporations are making a lot of money from it, but in other countries it's completely illegal. You can't do it, and if you do it, you want to do it legitimately so that in the event of anything happening in the future, you have all the required documentation, because the last thing that you want is to have an illegal child and face imprisonment or other unpleasant penalties from it, right? Adopting a child is usually the most common option. Why? It's a lot cheaper. You're looking at anywhere from $5,000 to maybe $50,000. This adoption process also takes time, money, and energy. It is not this fast. It really requires a lot. Gestational surrogacy is even more complicated. I hope I'm not scaring you, but it is a matter of fact. It's more complicated, takes more time, and it's also more expensive. Obviously, when you adopt a child, the child won't have your DNA. However, with gestational surrogacy, the child will have your DNA. My client explained to me why it was so important to him. He also pointed out that he wished he had it done sooner, because as you get older, your energy becomes more and more limited, and the chances of you being as efficient as in your your 20s and 30s, let's say you are wanting to undergo this process in your 40s, 50s, or even 60s, then you're looking at a serious commitment for the next 20 years. It is not as easy as a walk in the park. And given the fact that you are the sole parent, you can't just abandon your child. You can never abandon your child anyway. You shouldn't. But if you give birth, or let's say you father a child through the regular process, you can always go to the mother or father of the child and be like, hey, I'm going to go travel now. Can you please help me take care of our son or daughter? It could be an option. With gestational surrogacy, you are the only parent, the sole parent. Some of our clients have children and they underwent the traditional process of dating, getting married, and they divorced, separated, or never got married to begin with. When they want to leave their country and bring their children with them, they have to get permission from the mother before they can depart. And to be fair, it's been the reason why some people decided against getting residency overseas. All right, let's talk about where you can get gestational surrogacy. You can get it in the United States of America, and it is probably the best country to do it, and we're going to talk about the reasons now. You have to know that gestational surrogacy is not legal in all states. It is not legal in all 50 states. You have to go to certain states to get it done legally. So why do you want to do it in the United States of America? Well, it's simple. Wherever you go with your child, with your children, you're going to have to show this certificate. And the US just has the highest credibility for this kind of service. If you live overseas, let's say you go to Argentina, you go to Paraguay, you go to Europe, and you show the birth certificate that's from the United States, then the authorities will exactly know, okay, this has been issued by the United States government, this is an official document, they will trust it. But let's say you get it done in Djibouti or another country and they look at it like, oh, maybe this is fake, maybe this is not real, and you could be accused of serious crimes. So that's how my client explained it to me. He told me he considered getting it in different places, and he said, first of all, it's illegal in most countries. You can't do it legally. And secondly, doing it in the United States just makes the most sense. How much does it cost? Gestational surrogacy costs anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 or more per child. This is not a small amount of money, and it obviously works for millionaires, multimillionaires that have the necessary pocket change to do this kind of process. And one of the things you want to consider is that if it is unsuccessful, the first attempt, for whatever reason, because there are more moving parts, there are more people involved, it's not just you, then you would have to redo it, and oftentimes you can't get a refund. So it's really important that you read the contract, because everyone must get paid in this process. And in America, it's big, okay? It's booming, and it's a great money generator. It will take approximately 18 to 24 months. It can take a bit less, it can take more. It depends on numerous factors. So you're looking at a real time commitment, especially if you don't live in the United States of America. One of the cons of gestational surrogacy is that you are going to be the sole parent and you can't reverse your decision. This is not like you going into the casino and placing $100 on red, and if it doesn't work out, you leave and go back home with $100 less. This is a lifelong decision, and the baby will be yours, and you are absolutely accountable for your baby and child. Being a sole parent is a lot of work. This makes sense for somebody who has help from, say, a live-in mate, where you have a girlfriend, wife, and you agreed on doing it this way. I mean, you can do it yourself, you can do it without anyone, but as time passes, you will feel pressure, I'm sure, and you will feel a bit drained, because if you have to take care of your children every single day, of course it becomes part of your daily routine, but you want to find times to relax. And obviously, if you have family, they can take care of your children, right? But it's not like the biological mother will be by your side. This will not only require great responsibility from you, but also from whoever you're with, whether that's a girlfriend or wife. If you want to get a residency for your children, then you would obviously have to get the birth certificate apostilled. Otherwise, no country will accept it. It must be legalized by the competent authority, which in this case is the United States government. Of course, this is something we will help you with before applying for residency in South America or Europe. People were looking into Thailand because Thailand was doing it at some point, but they stopped doing it in 2015. It's been illegal for almost 10 years. However, I read an article by Forbes claiming that Thailand considers reinstating this policy to raise medical tourism. Obviously, gestational surrogacy is a massive revenue generator, not only for the hospitals and all people involved that get compensated for this act, but also for the country itself. The people that do gestational surrogacy, they have a ton of money. There is a very important consideration, which I haven't really touched on yet, and that is your children will be US citizens. This can be a pro, can be a con, really depends on what they're going to do in their future. We know that the United States of America applies citizenship-based taxation, so in this regard it is a definite con. However, a US passport is quite strong. It gives you access to most countries visa-free. And you can also live on any US territory without a visa. But think about it, if you want to take your children out of the country and you did it the traditional way, you have to get permission from the mother. Unless, of course, you show up together, you apply together, then that's a different story. I know $100,000 to $200,000 is quite a bit of money, but the good news is you won't have to share your children with anyone. But as I have pointed out, this decision comes with a ton of responsibility, not just for the short term, but the long term as well. What is your take on gestational surrogacy? Is it worth it, or would you rather father a child using the traditional path? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in obtaining a residence permit in Latin America or Europe, please contact us now. You should see our website displayed right on the screen. There should also be a link below the video. Thank you so much for watching Nomad Elite. We appreciate you, and we see you on the next video.